So it's another episode of Techbridge on Lagos Television. Thank you for connecting with us. This is Techbridge on Lagos Television. This is the show that connects all the dots for you around the world of technology. All we'll do is make sure that we see all the challenges around the world and find a way to see technology being an enabler to the solutions that you can have. I am Sheyifumi Olatide. So I welcome you to Techbridge today, and today we are also picking one of the issues at the front burner, talking about the police reform in Nigeria. It's been an issue at the front burner recently, and the conversation keeps going on and on. So different sectors are saying how they can leverage on their comparative advantage to bring solution to this. And of course, you will agree with me that technology has a bigger role to play in this. So on this episode today, we'll be talking about how technology can help us have this desired police reform in Nigeria. Stay with me, I'll be back. So thank you for staying with me on Techbridge on Lagos Television. I told you that we'll be talking about how technology can play its role in having the robust police reform. Just as a way of recap, Nigeria witnessed a protest, kind of, and it was more pronounced in Lagos State, talking about the NSWAS protest. Then that protest was actually triggered by the fact that youths want a better police, a better way of addressing issues by the police, and they don't want any form of brutality. And of course, all of us signed up on this. And from what we know, this protest has been able to achieve one major goal, and that is the scrapping of Special Anti-Robbery Squad in Nigeria, and that is SARS. So now that we are at this level, we begin to see how we can move the conversation forward, and technology is also coming to the rescue. So about this, I'll be connecting with Victor Tubotamuno. He's a digital transformation expert, and he's going to be talking to us about how we can leverage on technology to transform the Nigeria police. So Victor, thanks for connecting with us on Techbridge today.
Shay, good morning.
All right, so talking about the police reform, and how we can have a digital policing, if you can put it that way, in the light of what has happened recently and how youth have been able to achieve a major goal. One of their demands is the scrapping of SARS, and that has been achieved so far. So how do you see technology playing any big role in this? Just an overview from you.
So basically, if we're looking at police reform and the adoption of technology in its process, we're looking at holistically a digital transformational process of the Nigerian police force, right? But this is just one arm of the reform process. So when you say reform, reform is institutional, right? So you don't just reform one arm of the police or to strengthen. Technology is only an enabler in the reform process, right? So reform is, when you're looking at reform, we're looking holistically, reforming the institution itself, right? So we're looking at the different angles of the reform process, how you hire people, the police welfare, citizens interaction, and how they go about it. But I think for the course of this discussion, we'll be looking more about the role of technology itself and in the different reform process.
All right, Victor, thanks so much for that. That takes me to the next question. We know that a major role the police play is in the area of investigation. What would be your take about comparing what the Nigeria police have at the moment and various ways they can leverage on technology to improve on this?
Well, we're talking about investigation, using technology to aid investigation for the police force. I think we're basically looking at what the police would do in its application of technology for their back-end processes, right? So application of technology in terms of investigation is on two major parts. So one, you have the frontline operations, and of course, two, you have the backline operations, right? In all this, to connect both of them, what you need is data, right? Data is actually the key to connect both. To the policeman who is in the patrol van and the field, to the one who is in the office to understand the analysis of a particular crime or a particular investigation process, data is what is the key factor here. So how do we source for data should actually also be on the frontliner. How do we harness data? What are the certain robust backend infrastructures we have in place for the Nigerian police force? The whole of them, if time will permit, I would basically be discussing about what I feel the police backend technological adoption should be. So first, we'll be looking at transparency in the Nigerian police force in terms of case management office systems. We'll also be looking at transparency in the identity management systems, right? We'll also be looking at transparency in an overview. So now, first, transparency in case management systems. What are the decentralized softwares they are currently using? What are the application of technologies they are using? They have Oracle. Oracle has built some certain softwares over the past years that have been applied different places in the world, in the UK, in the US, also in the Netherlands, where you could have a data, right? Let's say from your car, a particular scanner moves, you get past a particular point, a police checking point or something, and it scans your plate number. Just from that identity, it mines, just that data it mines alone from your plate number, it could tell any history around it, first of all, right? If you've been involved in a particular place, if you've actually violated a traffic law somewhere and you're running to the next point, from the back end system, it could basically say, oh, this particular guy is currently at point A. He has this particular issue when he was at point B. Now he's headed to the next point. Something needs to be done about it, right? And also, when this person is finally being apprehended, it comes to the police force. Do we also have an open system in terms of investigation to say, if this person committed this particular crime is being accused of, what's the history around it? So if I move into a particular police station right now, police should be able to have a clear open data from me. Do they have such systems in place? It's when I look at the transformational process of the Nigerian police force, and people call for reform, I feel like reform in general is a national issue, because what will aid the Nigerian police reform, we also lack it institutionally as Nigerians. Do we have data in this country?
Okay, so let me take you up on that. Talking about data, but we do know that the federal government has various ways of collecting data from people. We talk about NIMSI, and that is National Identity Management, and we also talk about the data provided to telcos at the point of SIM registration. Now, my question to you is this. Are you saying that these data are not available for the police to use, or they are not robust enough for them to take advantage of?
I think the latter is correct. The systems are they robust enough for them to implement in the system. First of all, before you even implement data into your infrastructure, you need a harnessed data. You don't need data everywhere to say, the data from EFCC and the data don't align, or the data from a telco and the data from the bank are two different. No, we need a synergized data, right? We need a more, we need a central data point where you could actually have details about this particular person, details about a particular infrastructure, details about a particular case scenario. So with data, you could track whatever history, and it aids your investigation. So if you're coming to meet Mr. A to say, oh, you committed this kind of crime, but this is your history, you already have everything you're proving out to him. So technological adoption is, for me, is when we're talking about the reform, I feel it's a national issue, right? It's not just for the police issue, because for us to reform the police, we also need to reform some certain institutions in this country. We also need to reform some certain things to aid the reform process of the police. Want to reform the police, do we have data? That's one. Do we have the power infrastructure? Do you have the telecoms infrastructure? Nigerian police still goes about, they walk around with walkie-talkie and everything. That's thing of the old. Nobody uses walkie-talkie. People are more advanced, right? People have gone beyond that point. We're talking about AI. We're talking about blockchain decentralized data, right? They say they want to come out to reform the Nigerian police force. You come out openly to reform it, and you partner with industry experts to do this. You need to watch videos of police globally when they are training. They use augmented reality, virtual reality in their training sequence, right? How targeting, how to go about crime operations and everything.
Okay, Victor, I want to ask you this. At what point should we begin to expect some form of collaboration among all the key players in this sector, talking about policing and the issues around it? We talk about the federal government, we talk about the private sector, and of course, I will probably say that it might boil down to funding. So where do we begin to put all of this together? At what point should we begin to leverage on collaboration in this sector?
So first of all, if we must move forward, we have to basically clarify the basic fundamental in the police reform process. And I must tell you the simple, bitter truth. The network has to be decentralized first. Can we push for state policing? Let everybody innovate from their own standard. If we cannot have it from one central point, can we have it from the different angles? Look at the US, for instance. What sparked the whole Black Lives Matter protest, right? Because of George Floyd. What led to the George Floyd protest? It was because of technology. The body cam on the police officer. What's stopping us from implementing such technologies here in Nigeria?
Well, that would probably be my next question to you, because I begin to wonder from what you've said. So should we say that, how do we put it now? Is it about fund? Is it about the lack of knowledge about this? Or how do you describe this?
It's a human problem. Technology is just an enabler. There's no amount of adoption we would want to prescribe to the Nigerian police force. See, it has to pass through people. These people, who are they? The leaders of the Nigerian police force or the Police Service Commission, who are these people? Are they flexible enough to adopt this technology? How best are they collaborating with the private sector? We're talking about police interaction and the transparency in the Nigerian police force. What is the role of the police community effort? How are they, what's the level of interaction with citizens in terms of suggestions? To say, okay, you know what, time to time the police is out there having community or gatherings to say, okay, what are your suggestions on how we could improve the Nigerian police force? Secondly, you come to what? Collaboration. See, funding and every other thing can only come as a result of collaboration. We could see what happened to the NSAS protest. Protesters were on the field, people were donating money for them. See, they created an avenue first for people to come in to put money to fund the protest, right? So it's just that simple. You need to create an avenue for well-meaning Nigerians and the globe in general, the world, for people to come in to say they want to collaborate with you. You need to set up that platform, right? So if you really want to talk about the way forward first for me is sincerity. Is to come out, it to be sincere first to say, I really want this. I'm a bad son, I want to change, and I'm willing to change. That's the first thing. So when you say, I'm bad, I'm willing to change, and please give me an opportunity because I really want to change. Now I'm making myself available for you to come in to say, okay, see how you could make me a better person. That is the next step. Collaboration is the next step. It is through collaboration you heard suggestions to reform the police. We have a whole lot of decay in the system. Till today, identity management is still a problem for the police force. An officer walks into my estate, he's wearing a jalabia, or I don't know what they call it. He's putting on dreadlocks, earrings. I don't know if this guy is a Nigerian police officer. Where's the identity management system? Can I use my phone and maybe scan something or whatever to know that, oh, it just tells me, okay, this is this guy from so and so division, he's the Nigerian police officer.
But while we're at that, I will say that let's wrap up this this discussion segment by talking about the solutions. We need to move forward, and Nigeria is already moving forward with some of the steps put in place. So let's see how technology can help us move forward. You talked about some solutions in your LinkedIn post talking about body worn camera, AI, and the rest of it. So let's just have some wrap around that. How do we see technology pushing us forward, talking about better policing, police reform, digital policing, and the rest of it?
Okay, so before I even continue on that first thing I would say is, don't forget that while we're pushing frontiers for the technology, right? Okay. The technology is only an enabler. There is a human behind the technology. So you first of all start with reforming the mind of that human. There's no amount of technology you want to place on that human that will make him not be the same human he is. So first, you reform the mind of that human to say, you change the whole process, the whole thought about the human. Then now, when we're talking about the frontline operations, citizens' interactions, there are a whole lot of technological advances that can come into play. First, I mentioned the body cam, right? Can we start having police officers accountable for their actions? We've had series of cases where people come to say, oh, this particular police officer did this to me, this one did this to me. We really cannot track or authenticate the case. Why? Because we don't have record about it. We're only just hearing from but with body cams turned on, and it has to stay on, because like I said, reforming the mind, the man might still decide to turn off the body cam. So you reform that mind first to allow him keep it on always, so we could always understand what is happening. We could have transparency in every action and hold police officers accountable. Secondly, the use of drone area and visual surveillance, right? So they have these unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, where that basically could run patrols for the police force, right? Where they themselves could not move down, they could have these technologies actually help map crime areas, right? So the technologies have this drone technology have software embedded in them that allows for mapping, for crime mapping. So you could actually tell in a particular, if you map a city like Lagos, you could tell in a particular place, this is where a whole lot of these hoodlums are. These are their movements. If you track one or two persons, you could say they always move from point A to point B by this certain time. You could get a whole lot of data around it. Using the aerial surveillance technology. Of course, too, smart sensors, right, that could be deployed in different parts of the city to basically detect crime and also to pick data. Of course, the community platform, a mobile community platform, right, where I can easily interact with my police officer or also track happenings around the police force, right? So let's say I am in distress right now. You keep giving me numbers to call, to say, oh, call this number, call that number, call the number. And I call this number, it transfers me to another number. I'm already confused, I'm in distress. From my mobile app, can I know that, oh, I call Mr. A or police station A? 2 vans are currently on their way, and I can track it. Can we have all those infrastructures in place and make it decentralized and accessible for everybody? So that if I also have issues, I want to report, if there's a particular crime in a particular location, I could report easily to that platform. Every other person on that platform knows that, oh, there's a particular incident happening there, we could avoid that area for now while we get the police to go there to maintain normalcy, right? So can we have such platforms in place to interact more with the police? Of course, I don't want to go far to be talking about the more sophisticated ones like the AI, using robots. I don't know if we're there yet. Okay. Let's just, for now, let's focus on the basic ones. Let's have the basic identity management system, right? Let's have the transparency management system, right? The case management system. Of course, the community policing platforms, right? Let's have, when I say transparency, of course, we're talking about the body cams, area visual surveillance, and the rest. So let's have these basic ones first.
We're always optimistic on this show that Nigeria can get better, the world can get better if we leverage on technology. Thanks so much, Victor, for connecting with us. We hope to connect with you some other time.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Well, that was Victor Tubotamuno talking about the reforms that we desire and how technology can play a big role in it. And of course, Victor is a digital transformation expert and more, and he has offered some ways out of this place that we are. We can only get a better police if all of us put our hands together. And of course, he also mentioned that technology is not going to play any magic. It is an enabler. So we need transparency, we need objectivity, and we need the willingness and the ability, of course, to do all that we need to do. We need to place technology at the front and see how we can leverage on every offering it can give us to give us a better policing. So that's our episode today. Many thanks for connecting with us. Remember that you can connect with Techbridge on Facebook, and that is Techbridge LTV. On YouTube, we are Techbridge LTV as well. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can have a prompt of this fresh episode as soon as we upload it, and of course have the access to all of the previous episodes. You watch them again and again. You can even download them as well. So till some other time, having a better Nigeria is the collective responsibility of every one of us, and we won't stop until we have a better Nigeria, a better Lagos, and a better world in particular. So I remain Sheyifumi Ola today. Till some other time, keep innovating, keep leveraging on technology, and keep achieving more. Bye for now.